Okay, I might be able to get through the DVDs in this video, we'll see. Now, this first item that I'm going to show you is a show that I was exposed to as a kid because my mom owned a couple VHS tapes of the show, but as I came to realize, those VHS tapes, weren't how the show was originally presented. It'll make more sense once I show you, so I got the complete series of Rocky and Bullwinkle, the original series. Because, yes, if you're familiar with the VHS tapes for the show, you would know that they take the main Rocky and Bullwinkle segments of a story arc and insert them more or less one after each other. You do still get some of the in-between stuff, because I did see a couple of Mr. Know-It-All, Dudley Do-Right, Fraction Fairy Tales, and one Peepop and Sherman in there, but I think that there's a couple more than that, and there's just more to the show than that, so it's going to be nice to check this out now that I'm old enough to get some of the things that are in there. That's not to say that kids can't watch it, but I think adults are a little more likely to appreciate it, but that's just me, I guess. But of course, if you're familiar with Rocky Bullwinkle, you would know that there's more to the Rocky Bullwinkle franchise than that, even though many people would argue that's the only thing that's worth getting. So I decided to get off my butt and track down all the movies that became from that TV show. So you've got the Boris and Natasha movie, which apparently has John Travolta in it. Dudley Do-Right with Brendan Fraser. And then you've got the Rocky and Bullwinkle live-action movie, which I did see when I was a kid, but like with the Grinch, as I've said before, this isn't a kids' movie. This is for people that grew up with the original thing. And these two seem to be out of print, or all but out of print, but if you hunt around, you can find a copy, or if you just want to pirate them, go ahead and pirate them. This, on the other hand, you gotta pay a pretty penny for the DVD, and the only version of this show that movie that I could find to pirate it had the picture stretched into widescreen. Yeah, now it wasn't as bad as some other things that have done that, but you're not supposed to do that. But then there was actually one more movie that I did need to get, so I got Mr. Peabody and Sherman, and yes, I had to get the Blu-ray because that's what has all the special features, albeit I don't totally think I'm going to enjoy most of those special features, to be honest with you. And I don't really know anything about this or the other two live-action movies. I just got it so I could have everything. And then I downloaded all the Peabody and Sherman TV show and all of the reboots of Rocky and Bullwinkle that I could find, because the site that I was using to pirate the reboot cartoon, it didn't have the second half of the second season for some reason, but it's better than nothing, you know. And then if I decide that I don't like it, well, somebody's gonna have to, like, archive some of this stuff, because there's no way either of those cartoons are getting official releases. There's an absolute 0% chance of that. Now, this cartoon is out of print, I think, but it's not too hard to find places to pirate it. But if you buy this set, you're going to need to buy another case for it, because the discs are all stacked on top of each other. I got Where on Earth is Carmen Sandiego? What? So I was kind of familiar with Carmen Sandiego growing up, because I never played Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego. I only played Where in the US is Carmen Sandiego, though I never beat that. And then I played the Think Quick challenge, but me and my brother played that game long enough to the point where half of the subjects that were on in the game, because we would do our best to avoid certain subjects, the other half that we always selected, we got to the point where we could do every question. Maybe we could have made the difficulty of the game harder, I don't remember, but yeah. But I was really impressed that they made an actual cartoon based on the character, so I decided to check this out along with the Netflix show, and to my surprise, I really liked them both, so I bought this show and downloaded it, and then I downloaded all the Netflix show. Nice. Now this next thing is something that I said I would not buy, but my dad and I had a conversation about this movie, and he pointed out to me, maybe you shouldn't think of it as an actual movie of this franchise, even though this isn't an official movie of this franchise. Try and think of it as the very first Pink Panther movie. And when I heard him say that, I decided, okay, you know what, you got a point. So, actually, I think I'll grab it, even though it's really just for the extras. So I got the special edition DVD of 1960s Casino Royale. Yeah. I really didn't want to get that because I remember when I was watching it and it was just a huge chore to sit through. I considered that one of the worst movies I'd ever seen when I watched it, but it does have an audio commentary with James Bond historians and a different making of featurette than the other DVD version of this, but that other making of featurette, it's actually on here, so I downloaded it. I'll put that in the description. And then that other DVD, it does have the black and white Casino Royale, but I already have that downloaded along with the last couple minutes of that black and white thing. So now I'm officially covered for James Bond up until No Time to Die. Although, though, I think there's a few exclusive features that I need to hunt down along with documentaries. But in terms of actual film content, that's the only thing I'm missing. Now, this next thing that I'm going to show you is a very not well-known item these days. I think back in the day it was talked about a decent amount, but it's kind of faded away, honestly, so it's probably better if I just show you it. I got the Scourge. So if you know what this is, I'm sure they're just chuckling right now, but what this is that it's a movie that was made by Rob Sesternino from Survivor and Josh from the first season of the American version of Big Brother. And what happens is that the cast on this is actually well-known people from various reality shows, some of whom I'd heard of, some of whom I hadn't, and a lot of them end up getting killed due to this spirit that is in a house that a lot of them are occupying. And also there was a TV show that was being filmed while they were making this movie called Kill Reality, but it seems like there aren't any ways to watch those episodes, which is kind of disappointing because I would have liked to have seen behind the scenes thing with this. And also, if you listen to the director's commentary, it seems like there was a site that was devoted to this movie where there were other commentary tracks for it, but when I tried to find the site, it doesn't seem to be active anymore, which is kind of disappointing. But it is nice to have this, especially since it seems like it's pretty difficult to find the 2-disc version of this. So, a very interesting product. I'm glad to have it, even though I don't think it merits that many rewatches. It's just an amusing thing. I might have shown this in the last update. I honestly cannot remember, so I'm just going to show it to you. because I used to love reading these books when I was a kid, and I decided to get off my butt and download all the cartoons that are based on it. But this is the only one of the cartoons to have an official DVD. The other cartoon that was made in the 80s, it doesn't seem to really have a DVD besides a few volumes of somewhat unrelated episodes. And you can only purchase the very first special, and that DVD is out of print, so... Right. Because, like, this wasn't exactly easy for me to get cheap. These next two are reacquisitions, because even though I thought I had purchased the special edition DVDs, when I popped them into the DVD player, Blu-ray player to check, oddly, they didn't have the special features that I thought they did, so I realized I got it wrong, so I had to hunt around on eBay, because those prior DVDs were gifts from my mother, and she bought them from Amazon, which sometimes doesn't do the right job of distinguishing different editions of the movies. So, for real this time, I got the special edition DVDs of Halloween 4 and 5. And now they've got the special features that I was after. And they weren't that expensive, but you do got to do some hunting. Now, this is something that I've indicated multiple times on the channel that I wouldn't get into, but over time I've come to realize that while I'm not that interested in the actual movies themselves in this franchise, the behind-the-scenes information and people telling their experiences on the set for this film is something that I'm into. So I got a whole bunch of documentaries and various special features related to this franchise. So the first thing that I got was the 2-disc edition of His Name Was Jason, which is something that I saw back in the day when I was reviewing the Friday the 13th movies, minus the Freddy vs. Jason bits, because I hadn't watched that movie at the time. Right. Oh, you were expecting more stuff from there? Well, you're gonna have to wait. Now, this was a movie that I'd heard mentioned on and off related to this director, but people couldn't tell me anything about it without spoiling the film, and they said that they really didn't want to spoil it. So I got a desire to check it out, but it turns out that the extended version of this movie isn't available to watch anywhere. So I had to buy the DVD, albeit it was cheap. So I got The Abyss, done by James Cameron, and I'm impressed. It was kind of a slow-paced movie, but that ending, oh man, that was a payoff. Really good ending, especially since, based on what I understand about being different about this version from the theatrical version, they really did the film a disservice by cutting it down. Just a quick update, though. The menu on this is kind of confusing, and this is a situation where you have a widescreen movie encoded into a 4x3 DVD. So if you're watching this on your widescreen TV or VLC, you're going to have to change the aspect ratio. Well, believe me, you'll want to. It's just insane. Now, these next 3 are part of a franchise that I've been wanting to get into for years, but like with Ben-Hur, I have yet to read the original book that these things are based on, so it's going to be a while before I actually check these out, and according to my dad, if you don't read the book, you're going to be really confused by what you're seeing on the screen, and I think that he's right. So, what am I talking about? I'm talking about first of all, the 80s film version of Dune. And this was the only edition that I could find that had both the theatrical and extended version of this, because the original Blu-ray only has the theatrical cuts, and the new Arrow thing, even though it does have more special features, again, it only has the theatrical version. Now, thankfully, I was able to download the extended version, but I wanted an official version of it in some form. Yes, it's in a double-sided disc, but there is a Blu-ray of the extended cut out there, but it might be region locked. I don't really know, and even then you gotta pay a pretty price for it, and if I end up having a problem with the disc, I'm covered in various ways. But I figured why stop there, so I also got the 2 mini-series that remade the original book and then continued the story a year or 2 later. And you probably want to get these DVDs because, if I recall correctly, the Blu-ray version of this, the episodes might be sped up a tiny bit, and it might be lacking a special feature on here. I don't remember, it's been a long time. This, on the other hand, the Blu-ray is without question sped up, although the downloads that I have for this are much less sped up, but I'm going to have to do a comparison just to be sure because there's 3 different versions of these episodes out there. And then, as I said, the Blu-ray is missing a special feature, although they've got most of them, and this thing's pretty loaded. You can thank Zaranizarak for talking me into buying these, but I'm still going to pick them all up on Blu-ray, and then I'm going to have to check out the new version that is being made, along with the Asylum's movie that they made in addition to this. There's 1 or 2 other products that do have Dune in the title, but they're like an incredibly cheap knockoff, barely watchable. It's like when I was watching this, I heard that there were a couple of other underwater movies that were being released at the same time, where 3 of them, one made by Roger Corman, one starring Arlie Ermy, and one other, just were not watchable. But I did check out Deep Water 6 or something like that, and I'm really glad that I did that first, because that was actually semi-enjoyable, but if I had watched any of the others first, there's no way that I would have watched that. And then I checked out Leviathan with Peter Weller in it, and that was a nice movie. This next one is a TV show that I did own at one point, but got rid of it, but now I want to experiment again so I can make a proper review of it and say that I have seen it, but I feel like the extras are an important addition to me watching and getting a good impression from this TV show. So I got, in a proper DVD set this time, the original Battlestar Galactica, because if you had seen the original set that I had back in my first ever DVD and Blu-ray update, you would have recognized it as the one with an unfolded digipack that has double-sided discs that are just secured way too tight, and it's insane. Well, since there's 10 discs now, these should all be single-sided cases now, which is rather nice. Yes, there's a Blu-ray for this series, but I only want to watch the show in full screen, and that set costs a real big pretty penny. Yeah. So I thought I'd take advantage of less people wanting to get this and get it for cheaper along with all the special features. Then I also decided to check out other things that related to it, so I've bookmarked a couple of fan convention tapings that were done featuring the actors, and then I also got 2 of the Comic-Con DVDs that were made for it. This one being the first, which is pretty expensive, and then this one being less expensive, but kind of hard to find as well. There was also a third one, but by the time I had bought these, that third one had disappeared from Amazon, and that was the only place I had ever seen it. Fortunately, I could still buy it on Amazon Video, and I'm pretty sure there weren't any bonus features on that, because this doesn't have any real bonus features. Chapter Index, Bear, Trek trailer, We Are All Cylons trailer. Are those fan movies? But I don't think that there were any special features on that. If I'm wrong, please tell me. Gonna have fun watching that, I hope. And the DVD for the pilot movie, the only special feature that it has on there is little bits of information about the stars and production. Doesn't really add anything. You would only get that so you can compare the two pilots, but I've downloaded them both, so that's redundant. And I have Galactica 1980 downloaded. So there you go. Okay, so technically I should stop the video. Do I want to do that? Yeah, I think I will, and then I'll just start putting in the Blu-rays in the next one. See ya.